Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel. Today we are back in Microsoft Flight Simulator and we are going to be taking the Cessna Citation Longitude from Hamburg, Germany to Alesund, Norway. This should be a pretty cool flight. It's an early morning here in Hamburg, so it should make for a beautiful departure. So let's get in the aircraft here to get things configured for our flight. All right, we are in the flight deck of the Cessna Citation Longitude. First thing we need to do is our weights and balances. Pull up the flight plan here. All right, block fuel today is 5,312 pounds. Switch this to pounds, 5312. $53.99. Payload today, £2,300. $2,357. We'll simulate a perfectly balanced aircraft. We'll set our center of gravity to 31.69%. All right, so fuel is done, payload's done, and our center of gravity is done. All right, let's go through the pre-flight checklist here. I want to make sure that parking brake is set. Throttles are at idle. Flaps are retracted. Spoilers are retracted. Landing gear lever is down. We can go ahead and turn on the standby power, followed by the left and right batteries. We'll turn off the left gen, right gen, and APU gen for now. This is the working title G5000 update, AAU1 update, which is only available in Microsoft Flight Simulator Beta. All right, let's get this APU going and get some power to our aircraft. We're going to monitor our APU, RPM percentage, and EGTs. All right, RPM 100%. Turn our APU gen on. Go upstairs. We'll turn the recog lights on. Wing inspection lights, anti-collision, tail flood, passenger safety and seatbelt signs, and arm the emergency exit lights. Turn up the floodlight. All right, let's go down to the FMS and get our flight plan loaded. So here's our flight plan. We're going from Hamburg, EDDH, to Alesund, Norway, ENAL. All right. Our standard instrument departure today is the Ecker 1G with the Eckern transition for runway 33. Procedures, departure. Ecker 1G, Eckern transition, runway 33. Load. All right, and then our arrival is the TUMI 3R with the 2MIM transition, runway 24. me 3R. Runway 24. Load. Approach, ILS 24. Transition. Bav up. All right, let's see our minimums today. All right, so ILS runway 24 for Alesund, ILS minimums 225 feet. Switch this to radial altimeter, 225 feet. Load, okay. All right, let's see what we got in between here. All right, so from Eckern, we're gonna jump on the M852 airway. Eckern, load airway, M852. And we're gonna take that to Alasa. Load airway. From Alasa, we're going direct to Urgat. All right. From Urgat, we're going direct to Kovik. Direct to Ubeda. Then we're going direct to Ridbo. Then direct to Bitku. And then we're going direct to our Tumim, which is our transition for the arrival. So that all looks good. We got our flight plan. We got our procedures. Let's go to performance. Weight, fuel. Basic operating weight, 23,389 pounds. Payload, I believe is 2,300. Payload 2,300. Let's put that all under cargo. Zero fuel weight, 25,689 pounds. Okay, take off, fuel on board sync. Our aircraft weight is 30,975 pounds. All right, fuel reserves today. Final reserve plus alternate, 2,173 pounds. $2,173, pretty close. Okay. Takeoff data. Let me pull up the MEDAR on this other display here. Load MEDAR wind, use relative air temperature, go MEDAR. All right, takeoff runway available, 12,204 feet. Use flaps 1 for takeoff, anti-ice off, best reverser stowed, takeoff factor 1, and rolling takeoff no. Takeoff field length required, 3,076 feet. We'll have a 4 knot headwind and a 9 knot crosswind. V1, 105 knots, rotate 110 knots, V2, 126 knots, and final takeoff 185 knots, except takeoff speed. We got a flight plan, we got our procedures, got our performance. Cabin pressure, landing elevation 49 feet, mode normal. That looks good. See what our altimeter is. .3047 inches. So we'll set that. .3047. We'll set that on the standby too. Okay, speed bug is set. Let's pull up our standard instrument departure here. So we have a speed restriction, 210 knots, and a altitude constraint at DH 250 above 670 feet. Transition altitude is 5,000 feet. All right, so we'll climb to our transition altitude, 5,000 feet. Want to switch our nav source to FMS. Turn on the flight directors, nav. Let's get these engines started. So we'll start the right engine. We're getting N2 rotation. All right, right engine is running. Turn on the right gen, and we'll repeat the process for the left engine. N2 rotation. All right, left engine is running. Turn on the left gen, and we can turn off the APU and the APU gen. APU RPM percentage is dropping. Okay, nav source FMS, speed bug set, altitude is set, altimeter set, FMS is loaded. Flaps 1 for takeoff. No anti-ice today. You know what? I think we're going to use anti-ice. I see our relative air temperature is 2 degrees Celsius, and we do have some clouds, so we'll probably use anti-ice. But we'll turn those on when we get closer to the runway. We go down to performance, takeoff. We want to use anti-ice. Accept takeoff speeds. We have our V speeds on the PFD here. All right, let's get pushed back here. Call the tug. All right, let's pull up our airport map here. So we are, we're actually pretty close to our departure runway. Pretty much straight behind us. Release the parking brake. All right, we can stop right there. Release the tug. Set the parking brake. Kind of glance over everything one more time here. I think we are set. All right, so we are holding short of runway 33. We got our landing lights on. We'll turn on the anti-ice. All right. We will activate toga. We'll get centered on the runway here and sync our heading. Heading, nav, there we go, heading 329. Double check our settings here. All right, we're looking for nose up, -4 degrees. Arm the auto throttle. Nose down till about 80 knots. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Speed is good, flaps coming up. Arm the autopilot. Navigation. Flight level change. Pretty nice departure out of Hamburg. Our speed is set at 210 knots because we have a speed constraint on our departure. We're approaching 5,000 feet. We are going to transition to standard. So 210 knots until we cross DH 253. All right, plane is accelerating, 250 knots. We're gonna set our altitude to flight level 180. Flight level change. All right, we're approaching 10,000 feet. We'll go upstairs, turn our landing lights and taxi lights off. And we'll just climb to 18,000 feet. Our speed is accelerating to 270 knots. All right, we've hit flight level 180. Let's increase our altitude to our cruise altitude of flight level 400. Flight level 400 set, flight level change. All right, while we're climbing to our cruising altitude, I want to pull up the arrival procedure for Alesund. See if we have any altitude constraints along our arrival. So at 2 MIM, we got to be above flight level 140. So 2 MIM, 14 or above, we're good there. AL 808 is flight level 100 or above. Okay, we're good there. Boogag 7 or above. Boogag 7 or above. Uvron 6 or above. 6 or above. And VAV up is 5,800 or above. Max 220 knots. We're at 68.28. And I'm gonna set speed constraint 220 knots. Okay. So we're just crossing 30,000 feet. Pretty nice departure here. All right, we are just crossing Eckern now. 34,000 feet. Alright, we have reached our cruise altitude, flight level 400. I'm going to set the speed in manual mode and cruise at Mach 0.82. The VNav has us cruising at Mach 0.84, which is a little fast, so we're going to set Mach 0.82 for our cruise today. The cruise Mach 0.84, so we'll cruise at Mach 0.82 today. We are 52 minutes from our top of descent, so we cross 2 MIM at flight level 140 or above. So I'm gonna go into time lapse here, and we'll be back just before top of descent, and we'll go from there.
All these white lies got me hypnotized. Get out of my head, get into my bed, I'm broken. It's only a matter of time. Shifting my paradigms. You hurt me, I'm sinking and drowning, and I don't deserve it. Your heart is frozen. The water is rising, and I'm just a drop in the ocean. Drop in the ocean. I'm Gucci, you're loving you. I'm Gucci, you're loving You pick me up and pull me down, hold me up so I don't drown. Got your head up in the clouds, nothing left of us now.
Alright, we are about 2 minutes away from our top of descent. So let's pull up our arrival procedure here and set our lowest altitude on the arrival. So it looks like VAB up, we need to be above 5,800 feet. So we'll set that as our target altitude. All right, 5,800 feet set. 1 minute, 17 seconds away from top of descent. We'll go back to, we'll set our speed to FMS. VNav is active. So when we cross top of descent, the aircraft is going to automatically descend on the flight path angle to target 14,000 feet or above at 2 MIM. All right, we've captured the flight path angle. Our speed is being reduced to Mach 0.800, and we're going to descend to cross 2 MIM above flight level 140. Our transition altitude is 7,000 feet. While we're descending, let's check the weather at our destination. Load MEDAR. So the wind's 198 at 15 knots. Temperature is 7 degrees Celsius. Altimeter 3030 inches. Our runway is 6,825 feet. We'll land full flaps, anti-ice off, thrust reverser stowed, landing factor is 1, auto throttle off. And we're only going to need 2,588 feet of runway. We'll have a 11 knot headwind and 11 knot crosswind. Approach speed 124 knots, final reference 113 knots. Accept landing speeds. We are 13 minutes 52 seconds from bottom of descent. Alright, we are just approaching 2 It looks like we're on track to cross 2 above flight level 140. Our next altitude constraint is above flight level 100 at Al 808. And you can see that as the active VNAV waypoint. 8 minutes 42 seconds from bottom of descent. Looks like we're on track to cross Al 808 above flight level 100. Let's check our ILS approach frequency. So localizer 111.95, and we have 111.95 ready for nav 1. Five minutes, 52 seconds from bottom of descent. We'll need to start watching our speed here, because when we cross flight level 100, we need to be below 250 knots. See our speed is being reduced automatically. And at 250 knots, we want to be flaps 1. Five minutes, 35 seconds. We should be crossing Bugag above 7,000 feet. Looks like we're on track here. 250 knots, flaps 1. And then above 6,000 feet at Uvron. Okay, 230 knots, flaps 2. I'm gonna go back to managed mode. Our speed reduced to 160 for some reason. $220 knots. All right, we're approaching 10,000 feet. Let's turn our landing lights on. All right, at 7,000 feet, we need a transition to local. All right, we'll set 3030 inches. Three zero 30 inches set. We're approaching our set altitude of 5,800 feet. So we want to get down to 3,000 feet at X-Drew. That's where we'll intercept the glide slope. 3,000 feet. Feet set. When we get closer to X-Drew, the nav source should automatically switch to localizer. I have visual of the runway. I'm going to start reducing the speed to 180 knots. At 180 knots, we need to be full flaps, gear down. Okay, 180 knots, full flaps.
Landing here. Landing here.
Gear down.
Landing here. Landing here. Landing here. Landing here.
We can turn the anti-ice off.
Landing here.
Our nav source switched to lobe 2. I'm going to activate approach mode. All right, we captured the glide slope. All right, I'm going to reduce the speed to 123 knots. Knots set. Full flaps, gear down. Lights are on. Anti-ice is off. Missed approach. We'll climb to 5,000 feet. We'll set that in the altimeter, or the altitude window. Looking pretty good on our approach here. Pretty strong wind here. 25 knots. Minimums are 225 feet. About 20 knot wind here. Not a bad landing there. That wind is pretty crazy. All right, flaps coming up. We'll exit left here. Get completely clear of the active runway. All right, parking brake set. Landing lights can come off, taxi light on. Flaps are retracted, anti-ice is off. Flight directors can come off. Get our taxi clearance. Turn that taxi light off. All right, parking brake set. We'll shut down the right engine. Followed by the left engine. All right, we can turn our left gen, right gen off. Go upstairs. Turn our lights off. And then we'll turn the left battery, right battery, and standby off. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to Alesund. That was a pretty fun flight. I really enjoy making these videos. If you guys would like to see some future content, please leave a comment below, and I'd love to hear back. Until the next one, see you later.